You look around and everyone's always just doing and doing and doing and going and going. Checklists, meetings, hitting goals, being productive. We're all stuck in a rat race with absolutely no way of resting without feeling the guilt of not being productive. And it's because we've been sold a narrative basically our entire lives that if we just work harder and we do more, then maybe we'll find success and happiness. That's the key to a good life is just do more. But it's kind of like snake oil sometimes, right? With the easy answer to life's hardest questions of what is the meaning is usually a falsehood. It's usually wrong. And this world is infinitely complex. And so, because of the complexity of the world, we should definitely not believe the easy answer of just do more, right? But it's very, very easy to fall for that trap. We love our easy answers to complex problems because we just don't want to think about the complex answers. We want the stories that we tell to be clean, that we want to have a single cause for whatever effect we are thinking of. We want to have one person be responsible for everything, and that we can trace everything back to one action, one cause. And that bleeds into how we see ourselves as well. Like we think that if we just do enough, then everything will just fall into place. It's usually wrong. And that's not the whole picture, obviously. That if we just do enough, then everything will be dandy. That's just not true. It's just not true. We're stuck in this mode of doing, and we're stuck in this mindset of needing to constantly go and go and go and push ourselves to absolutely breaking a limit. We definitely break ourselves trying to push ourselves past the limit of productivity, and we suffer greatly for it. We're missing something very valuable when we're stuck in the productivity doing mode, and that is just the value that we have as a human being, right? If we're trapped in this thought of being on, then we have no way to rest. We have no way to recharge because we cannot recharge if we're always doing. And that's easy to fall into that trap. It's so easy to fall into that trap because doing is very easy to grasp, to understand, to measure. If we just hit these metrics in our business or we hit certain grades in school, then obviously we're accomplishing something. We're being productive. We're doing good in life. But that's external validation for our worth. The feeling that, oh, I did that and I'm getting praise for actually doing that. I'm seeing results on this piece of paper saying I got an A on this test. That's good. My value. I'm valuable. That's we've been conditioned to it for basically our entire lives. School is fantastic at doing that, especially here in America. We're rewarded for doing things properly, and we're punished for not doing things. Our whole world is built on the concept of productivity and efficiency. And when you're stuck in that mode, then it feels like you're contributing to the world, and that feels good. You're actually doing something, and I don't want to take away from that like accomplishment feeling of actually being productive, but if you're stuck constantly doing, constantly trying to be productive, then you have to ask yourself the question of what am I missing in life? Why am I stuck doing this to myself? And especially when we start tying our sense of self-worth to what we do. And here in America, it's very, very common, right, to meet someone new and the very first question you ask them is, what do you do? And then they answer with what they do as a job. They have it tied who they are to what they do. And that's incredibly dangerous because what happens if they get fired? What happens if they lose their job? What happens if they suddenly get a quarterly report where they're not hitting their goals? And you see it all the time with people. I mean, they just like get hit by a roadblock or they lose their job and then they just spiral immediately. Like they're out of work and then they're suddenly depressed. They're suddenly drinking a little bit too much. They're suddenly dabbling in illicit substances. And it's this loss of self, essentially. They don't know who they are without this job they just lost. They attached their identity to their job, and now they don't have a job, therefore they don't have an identity. And that's so dangerous. And this is the problem with basing our value on external things like our work. We feel like a failure when we don't get the results we expect, or we lose the job. And honestly, you don't really have full control over external factors. Like if someone's doing good at their job, that doesn't guarantee that they'll keep that job. I mean, layoffs happen and businesses go down, and sometimes people get fired for politics, I guess. And if you want another example, just take this video for example. You know, I could put so much effort into this video. Obviously, I'm not putting that much effort into it. It's barely even edited. But if it's like the best video ever on YouTube and then no one watches it, I'm going to feel like a failure anyway, even if I know I put so much effort and hard work and passion into this video. If I tie my value to the results of how many people watch it and no one watches it, which is completely out of my control, then I will feel like a failure, due in no part to my own actions. So, attaching your sense of self-worth to the value of your work is it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Please don't do that. I mean, obviously, we don't have no control over things, right? Like if I can't grow this channel if I don't post these videos, that's obvious. But just because I do post videos doesn't mean the channel will grow. I can do as much as I can. I can post every day, and maybe there will naturally be some growth, but there will always be something that I could be doing better. And there's always things that I could be doing wrong that I could fix in order to grow more. But my sense of self-worth does not come from how many people like this video or how many people subscribe to the channel. My sense of self-worth comes from me being here, of me existing. This is the concept of doing, of tying our value to productivity and what we do as a job versus being. And this is incredibly hard, very hard to like wrap your mind around if you've been stuck in this constant rat race that we've been conditioned into being, like just stuck in. You are a human being, and we as human beings are basically the only animals on earth that feel the need to justify our own existence by accomplishment, by productivity, by contributing to society at large. And that's I keep saying it's dangerous. It is dangerous. But what we do does not have any value about who we are. What we do is not who we are. We are not our job. We are not our hobbies. We are not our accomplishments. If I got straight A's in school, now I'm no longer in school. Who am I? I'm no longer a good student. I'm no longer a student. It's really the concept of our identity tied to external factors is just, I'm going to rail against it basically this entire video. I'm very sorry for saying that over and over again. It's results-based thinking at the end of the day, where we want to judge an action or an achievement based on the results that we get from that. And usually judging an action means we're judging ourselves, or judging our worth based on that action, based on the results that we get. Winning doesn't automatically mean what I did was right, and losing doesn't automatically mean what I did was wrong. That's results-based thinking. It's a fallacy. But what do we do about this? How can we actually break away our sense of self to the things that we are doing? It's very hard. It isn't just like a flip of the switch in your mind, right? It is the constant vigilance against this feeling that we get in the back of our head of that guilt that we will feel whenever we're not doing something that we think we should be doing. It's about cultivating presence in the moment. It's about being mindful and aware of what's going on around you. It's all about making your mental state of mind better and that being the focus, not just your external outputs and the results of those outputs. It's about accepting who you are. It's about accepting where you are right now. And it is not about trying to fix things or change things in the moment, because it is 100% about understanding that your value as a human being is not tied to what you do. Being versus doing. And it's not easy. This is not easy. It does take a long time. It does take effort. And at first, it's going to be very uncomfortable for you. I completely understand that. I had to fight through this basically my entire life. When we're not trying to tie our value to the things that we're doing, it feels like we're letting go of control over our lives, of control of the outcomes of our lives and our levels of success and all that sort of stuff. But that's uncomfortable. I do understand that. The problem is it's not a neat packaged solution that someone can sell you, right? It's not 7 steps to finding your true value regardless of what you do in like a sort of online course that someone sells you for $1,000. No, that's not true. Everyone is an individual and everyone has their own individual value as a human being. I cannot tell you what your value is. Only you can figure that out for yourself. And that's the problem with this sort of mindset that has helped me, is that I can't help you with a step-by-step guide on how to find who you are and what your value truly is. And there's obviously like generalized tips I can do, like observing, just sitting and observing for a moment and just letting everything around you, just just take it in and just sit there without judging, without trying to fix anything. Just sit there and be present in the moment without trying to make something, without trying to produce. No, it could be just sitting here listening to the birds outside. It could be sitting outside and feeling the raindrops on your skin and realizing that the sensations and emotions that you feel have value in and of themselves, just like you as a human being. If you just sit and breathe and notice your breath for a few seconds, and you just pull yourself away from whatever future meeting that you have that you're worried about, and just sit there and be present for a moment, just focus on your breath, pull yourself in. That's a good way to start. Every time you accomplish something, this isn't about not doing anymore, right? You have to do, you have to work, and you have to produce. And obviously, that's just the nature of life. That's not even capitalist society. That's just been true for everything, everywhere. Even animals have to do something in order to survive, right? But it's important to not tie your sense of self to what you do. It's like next time you accomplish something or fail to accomplish something, just pause and remind yourself that you not getting what you expected or what you wanted does not make you less as a person. And that is a reminder that is very easy to forget. Very easy to forget. Like, I understand that. And this all sounds very like woo-woo hippie bullshit. Like, I understand a lot of people don't believe in this sort of stuff, and I didn't believe in it for the longest time either. But mindfulness and like trying to cultivate inner peace does work. It does work. But why would you try to do it? Because it does take a lot of time and a lot of effort to get to this point. And when you step outside of that constant cycle of doing and doing and doing and doing, and you can step off of the hamster wheel that you've been stuck on your entire life, and you start to decouple your value from how fast that hamster wheel goes, things sort of look different to you after that. It looks different to me anyway. The constant noise that is barraging our ears and our minds and our subconscious sort of, it quiets down, and the fog gets lifted off my eyes, and you just sort of see the world in a different way. And I realized just how freeing it is to not have complete control over my life because of this practice, right? When I was a kid, I hated myself because I was one of the smart kids, really talented with grades, and everyone around me was telling me that I was going to go and achieve great things. And they piled upon expectation on expectation of me because of how good I was at doing work in school. But I hated myself because I wasn't feeling like I was living up to their expectations because I wasn't doing enough or wasn't doing the right things. And then I got sick and I couldn't do anything because I was stuck in a bed for years. So that that was completely out of my control, getting sick like that. And it was the worst thing to happen to me and the best thing to happen to me. Because despite how miserable I was, I realized that I am a human being and I have inherent value, even if I cannot contribute to society in a meaningful, productive way. And when I say meaningful, measurable, that's probably the better word. I'm not measurably successful because I don't have a job. I'm too sick to do anything. So I have to find my worth in something else, which at the time was my inherent value as a human being, my ability to just be there and be a presence in other people's lives. And that was sort of the wake up call that I had, is I don't have full control over my life. I barely have any control at all, and so I cannot base my value on things outside of my control. And obviously, like it took a crisis of my life for me to find that, and I hope you can find that without such a life-threatening illness hitting you. But I do know that we are wired for action, and we've been taught to tie our worth to that action our entire lives. And rewiring that in our mind is so hard, incredibly difficult. It takes actual existential crises for most people to change that in their lives, and it's very, very hard. But please don't let anyone sell you the simple answer as a snake oil. Like, obviously, it is hard. It is difficult. It does take time and it does take intentionality. But if I can do it, so can you. You are inherently valuable as a human being. And it's okay to just be sometimes, right? Maybe, just maybe, recognizing the value of being is the most important thing that you could possibly do. And that's about all I've got. Sorry for the sort of ramble. I do have my script here, but I went off it so hard. As always, thank you for watching. If you really like this, hit subscribe. If you want to join me next Sunday for my next video, you can go to morninghaven.co, get yourself a mug, get some coffee, and join me for next Sunday. See you guys later.